Hello, you're welcome to Ketra TV. So, speaking right with Casey, that is today's episode. And for today, we shall be looking at the word concord. I'm sure you've heard of concord before. And to you, it means different things. But today, we shall be looking at what we call grammatical concord. So, what is concord? Many of you might have different definitions, but let's look at the dictionary definition. Merriam-Webster. Merriam-Webster says that concord is simply a state of agreement. Concord is simply a state of agreement. Now, for the purpose of our video, we shall narrow this to grammatical agreement. So if you take it further, is simply an agreement between the subject and the verb in a sentence. Now, the subject has to agree with the verb in every sentence you make. You cannot have a singular subject and follow it up by a singular verb. There has to be an agreement. If it's a singular subject, the verb also should be singular. If it's a plural subject, the verb should equally be plural. Not them being in disagreement. No, we don't take that in English language. Your subject and your verb have to agree. So that brings us to the rules. There's one major rule governing concord, and that is if the subject is singular, the verb must be singular. And if the subject is plural, the verb must be plural. That's just simple, just like I explained earlier on. So we have different types of concord. But for the purpose of this lecture, we shall only be looking at 5 types of concord. So if you look at your screen, you would see that there are several types of concord, but for the purpose of this lecture, we are only going to take 5 types. In subsequent episodes of our program, we shall be looking at other types of concord. There are several types of concord. So if you subscribe to this channel, you would see the other types of concord that we have in English language. So I don't want you to go away. Just follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. We'll be there. And I want you also to join English Tutorials with Casey, which is a Facebook page, group on Facebook, where we shall be discussing more of concord. There's various aspects of concord. We have advanced concord, which of course I'm sure you know nothing about. So, number 1, the subject-verb agreement. Look at that example there. He goes. He goes. Is it correct? Of course it's correct. He is a singular pronoun, and as a result, the verb has to be singular. Assuming the pronoun was not singular, the verb definitely will not be singular. But it's like this because you have a singular pronoun, which is he, and the verb has to be singular. The second example, the boys go to school. The boys go to school. The boys, that's a plural subject. The verb has to be plural also. So there's an agreement between the subject and the verb. Number 2, when everybody or everyone is used, the object must be singular, not plural. I want you to note this second type of concord. When everybody or everyone is used, the objects must be singular, not plural. For example, Everybody knows his or her name. Everybody knows his or her name. Not everybody knows your name. I've heard many folks talk like this. Everybody knows their name. No, everybody knows his or her name. Number 3, and this is the big one, mandative subjunctive agreement. I want you to follow this carefully. When prayer, suggestion, wish, demand, recommendation, and so on is used in a sentence, the verb that follows must be plural, whether the subject is plural or singular. In other words, when such words like prayer, suggestion, wish, demand, recommendation is used in a sentence, the verb that follows must be plural, not singular. Whether the subject is plural or singular, the verb must be plural. Now let's take an example. Number 1, it has been suggested that he go not away. There's a temptation for you to say, it has been suggested that he goes not away, but that is wrong. That's against the mandative subjunctive concord rule. Did you get that? It has been suggested that he go not away. Number 2, the board has recommended that the manager resign. The board has recommended that the manager resign. Don't yield to the temptation of saying the board has recommended that the manager resigns. That is wrong. That is wrong. Grammatically incorrect. So the right thing for you to say is the board has recommended that the manager resign. The next example, I pray that God help me on my upcoming exam. I pray that God help me on my upcoming exam. Do not say, I pray that God helps me on my upcoming exam. That will be wrong. Okay, so the 4th type is what we call the principle of proximity, or what some of us would call proximity concord. Now, what is the principle of proximity? What is it all about? It simply states that when there is a list of nouns or pronouns at the level of the subject, it is the nearest noun or pronoun to the position of the verb that will determine the choice of the verb. Very simple. Did you get that? Are you sure you got that? Okay, let's take it again. It states that when there is a list of nouns or pronouns at the level of the subject, it is the nearest noun or pronoun to the position of the verb that will determine the choice of the verb. Let's take the following examples. Number 1, if Joseph fails his exam, I want you to follow me carefully. You would understand this. If Joseph fails his exam, his teachers or John is to be blamed. Do you see the words in red? Now, John is to be blamed. It's not because you have teachers there and you have John here. As a result, the verb has to be plural. No. That is against the proximity concord. So the verb has to take the number of the subject that is closest to it. And John is close to the position of the verb here. So the verb has to reflect to the number of the subject that is closer to it. If Joseph faces exam, his teachers or John is to be blamed. That's in conformity with the proximity concord. Number 2, the second example. If Joseph faces exam, his teachers, now you know teachers, plural here, is parents, plural, his friends, plural, or I singular here. So the verb has to be am. So let's go again. If Joseph fails his exam, his teachers, his parents, his friends, or I am to be blamed. But if it's the other way around, if Joseph faces exam, his teachers, I, his friends, or his parents are to be blamed. Do you see that? So that's the rule of proximity concord, which states that when there is a list of nouns or pronouns at the level of the subject, it is the nearest noun or pronoun to the position of the verb that will determine the choice of the verb. All right, let's go to the fifth one, which is the last one for today. Many a concord. When many a is used, the verb and the noun that follow must be singular. Take for example, many a candidate speaks bad English expression. Many a candidate speaks bad English expression. Many of you may have the tendency of saying many a candidates speak bad English expression. That is not correct. Many a candidate speaks bad English expression. The second example, many a girl is here. Many a girl is here. Not many a girls are here. That is wrong. So this actually, the actual meaning of the examples of the sentences which appear on the screen actually means that many a candidate means many candidates, and many a girl means many girls. Do you see that now? So don't you ever say many a candidate speak bad English expression. That will be wrong. Alright, so I'm going to give you 3 tasks for you to practice, for you to do at home. Number 1, what do you understand by grammatical concord? I want you to give me more definitions of what you think grammatical concord is all about. You can go on to give us examples too. Number 2, give 5 examples of mandative subjunctive concord. Very interesting, very interesting. I want to see whether you really understand mandative subjunctive concord. So give me 5 examples. Number 3, give 5 examples of proximity concord. That's another interesting one, proximity concord. And that should not really be difficult for you to do. So give me 5 examples of proximity concord. You can send your answers through the number you are going to see at the end of this program. That is my WhatsApp number also. So if you send it through WhatsApp, I'm going to mark it and send it back to you. We've come to the end of today's episode of Speak Right with KC. So I want you to subscribe to Ketra TV to speak right. If you look at the screen, you will see our number there. You can reach us on this number. That is also our WhatsApp number. So you can submit your task through the WhatsApp number which is on the screen. You can also reach us through email. Our email address is ketrainformetrics@gmail.com. Our phone number +234 902 10 45210. That's for those of you outside the country. But for those of you here in Nigeria, you can simply dial 090-210-45-210. So subscribe to Ketra TV to speak right. Tell your friends about Ketra TV. Tell your friends about what you've learned today. So many fun on Ketra TV. So we've just started this, just our first episode. So we want to hear from you, want to get feedback from you. So you can always reach us on the phone number and the email address. So until next time, I love you.